Blades Ramble are proudly supported by our main channel sponsor, My Business Group, a group of brands designed to support owners, leaders and managers in business. If you're looking to grow your business, contact mybusinessgroup.co.uk today for more information or follow the link in the description below. And as this is hot off the presser, we're proudly sponsored by High Point Access Limited, your number one stop shop for all your working at heights and roofing needs. If you mention the Ramble when you're asking for a quote, you'll receive 10% off any works. Find their details in all the links below. Thank you to High Point Access Limited for your continued support of the Blades Ramble.
Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and this is hot off the presser because Chris Wilder has just finished his lovely, neat and tidy little 20-minute press conference, which is what we all love to see. And yeah, we're good to go. Are you sick of seeing me yet? Because it's a busy week. It's a busy week. I'm on a lot. So we are at 5 o'clock, I think, in a couple of hours. Taxi video drops on Behind the Ramble. If you've not already seen Ramble on the Road, which was a bumper edition this time, I think it's about 12 minutes, for the Steel City Derby. Man Mountain and Big T, incredible. And obviously guest starring some other people as well, which if you've seen it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But we're here to preview the Portsmouth game from Chris Wilder's press conference. We've already done countdown to kick off. So we've had our take on it, but what was Chris Wilder's take? And I think you were in decent form again today. I would say a lot of these were standard answers, but stuff you come to expect. We'll go through it anyway, and I'll let you know what I think. So starts off, Adam Oxley from Radio Sheffield. Top lad asked him, how have the celebrations been, basically? And Wilder sort of said it's been a little bit reserved, not been too outlandish, like you might have seen previously. He says, we never take these things for granted, even with what's happened and the numbers have gone up and people have talked about it. Never take anyone for granted. Enjoy every single one of these Sheffield derbies because you never. I know the victories are hard to come by, and you never know when they're going to come round again. Nice. You know exactly what when the chance to take that picture comes round again, you know exactly what it means. So you take it and you enjoy it. We weren't jumping through hoops because our league position is something we need to adjust, and we'll adjust it if we perform like we have in the last 2 games. 2 clean sheets on the spin. The bit in the middle, from the data and from my eyes, we've created enough. All positive data, but we need to add goals to it. We've got goal scorers in the division. The players we've got and the ones coming back. That has to impact the record as well. Scoring 3, keeping a clean sheet, winning a local derby. It's good. We'll take that. Adam then says, there was a little bit of criticism on social media of your on-the-pitch celebrations. Some saying it were a bit over the top. What do you make of it? And a lot of us will have seen this as well. It's absolutely ludicrous that you can't celebrate a victory over your rivals without criticism. I think the criticism I've seen are more so from the media, for one, who are distant to Sheffield United, obviously, to a degree. And also fans of other clubs who don't have that fierce of a rivalry. Like, they've been through some turmoil as a club, the Blue Half. And that, we might have been a little bit softly in some elements of that. But the rivalry, make no mistake, is a fierce rivalry across the city. And they want to beat us just as much as we want to beat them. You expect them, their lot, when they've lost, to say we're being OTT and it means everything to us and blah, blah, blah. It's pathetic. That's part of their rhetoric, and that I don't mind that because I expect it. But when you get Sunderland fans and Coventry fans and other different, and it's only obviously small minorities of these fan bases coming on and sort of pointing fingers at us because we've celebrated a win against our rivals. Well, they might be a terrible side, but they're a bigger club than half of these people commenting, or half of these people's clubs that are commenting about it. So if they were to, it's just, If they were to beat a proper rival, they'd know exactly what it felt like. And we hadn't had a lot to cheer about this season. The fixture means an awful lot to the fan base. Anyway, that wasn't what Wilder said. This is what I just said. So what did Wilder say? He said, you can't win, can you? What do you want us to do? Just walk straight down the tunnel? Absolute nonsense, in my opinion. I don't even need to answer it. I don't have to justify anything. We won a local derby. We've won a few recently, and we want to keep that rolling. And there were some layers to it, bits and pieces you find out afterwards. He says words said in the tunnel before the game that I didn't even realise had been said. Things like, we're not going to be up for it, and you know, we're going to be more up for it than you are. I'm not sure how anybody comes to that conclusion, especially when I'm the manager. And no Sheffield United supporter would ever think we wouldn't be the ones to turn up for these type of games. I'm going to stop there because I agree with Chris. I don't ever doubt that Chris Wilder understands the magnitude of these fixtures. Don't ever doubt that. And he will do everything he can to win these games. And thankfully on Sunday, the players played that way. Played in it was a very Sheffield United type performance, a typical Chris Wilder team, I would say, where we were in the face from the off, aggressive, no messing about. But we have seen this season, he hasn't automatically been able to translate that to the pitch. So I know what he's saying in terms of you won't get any lack of fight or desire while I'm the manager. Well, I know that from you, but you can't always translate that to the players because it's on them. You have to unlock that mental capability for them to zone in like you are. And as I say, Sunday was brilliant. So let's hope he has finally found that key to unlock it, because it was a much more Sheffield United type performance. But I don't necessarily agree with him when he's saying, of course they were up for it. There were never any doubt they were going to be up for it. There was doubt because that was some of the best we played this season. So I would just sort of temper that a little bit. He says the key is we've got to be up for every one of these games. That's the message I've stuck on the boys' toes yesterday and today. I've never felt we've turned it in. All the games we've not got results this season, there's been a reason, and it's usually self-inflicted. But I felt the result on Sunday would have been decided in our changing room. Our approach, dealing with the occasion, dealing with the start, dealing with their best player, Barry Bannon, being clinical in both boxes. Some people might think we should have put them to bed earlier. Fine, but I'm never going to be greedy when we win 3-0 in a Sheffield derby. Adam then says, you're unbeaten in 7 against Wednesday. It's the biggest away win in derby history. How proud are you of that record? He says, I've said it all along, and people will probably get bored of hearing it. But I know one side that won't be bored of me saying it. I want to dominate the city. I want us to dominate the city. It's as simple as that. Since we got the gig in 2016, I wanted to close the gap. We've done that. We're not happy that we're not in the Premier League. That's obvious. We're not happy with the position that we're in. You deal with the disappointment. You deal with getting 92 points and not going up. You deal with losing late on in the playoff final and you overcome it. That's part of this club's character. But we have dominated the city. Nobody can take that away from us. Looking ahead, fitness-wise, did everyone come through Sunday okay, says Adam. He says, yeah, good to see Danny Ings get minutes. Tyrese as well. Gyro, he thought, was outstanding. Our 3 academy players, that's another bit part about dominating the city, bringing the players through. I'm delighted for Femi and Andre being local boys. Excuse me. And delighted for the academies. I'm delighted for... This is a bit of chat GPT going a little bit wrong, I think. Delighted for Andre being a local boy. And even though the other two, he said, being Femi and Siddy, aren't from the area, they do have our culture ingrained into them too. It's great for the ones who haven't played in a derby before, great for the ones who tasted it last season as well. A good day for us, but we move on quickly now. I don't think you achieve what we've achieved without staying grounded. I'm certainly not that type of manager. I know how important Wednesday night is, tomorrow night. Portsmouth are ultra committed, together, well coached. I'd even say they're probably the most disciplined side in the league. They'll test us in different ways. We've got to be right up for it again. Adam then asks, will Chong be back in the squad on Wednesday? He says, well, it's going to be a late one for Chongy. He's trained fully, but it'll be tight. We've got a lot of boys now, though. It's hard to get in the squad, which is exactly what I want, competition for places. It's a 3-game week, early kick-off on Saturday as well. We might freshen it up in a couple of positions. Been delighted with Gyro, delighted with the early signs from Pat. His cameo the other night was outstanding. People know my love for a number 9. He fits the bill. He brings calmness, experience and ability. Tom Cannon was disappointed he didn't score earlier in the week, so I was delighted he got his goal on Sunday. The supporters' reaction to him said absolutely everything. Will Ollie Arblaster come straight into the first team? I'm laughing because they've got it as Will Ali Offabo come straight into the first team. Ollie Arblaster is who he said. No. Or does he need to play some minutes, like in the 21s, Adam said? They've cut that question short, but I think it's right to give the context. And he says, no, he needs to play. He's gone over a year without minutes and we'll drip feed him in. I think that was something that we'd speculated on. And we'd heard that he played a behind closed doors game the other day, or taken part in one. I think that's the sensible thing to do. Like, we are playing okay at the minute. We can't ever rest on our laurels. He improves us. Certainly a fit Ollie Arblaster improves us. But no, why rush him back at this very late stage now? Just let him get to. Let's do it sensibly and do it the right way. Is the way I would look to do it. He says, I don't want this to be a one performance week, says Wilder. If we can get to January with points, I'm excited about what we can achieve. The players will want to come to us. There's still a huge amount of work to do. We still need to move players on in January. Some tough decisions to make. We need to build on Sunday, roll into Wednesday, then Saturday, and have a really good week. But Portsmouth, massively committed, massively together. We've got to bring our qualities. How important is Sunday as a starting point for that then? He says it could have come 3 or 4 weeks earlier. We should have picked points up in the first 3 or 4 games, learned from that. Self-inflicted defeats against Derby, Preston. Coventry was always going to be tough. Performances have been okay, but you get judged in both boxes. On Sunday, we got the balance right. Adam then says, first of 3 home games in 4. How important is the crowd going to be in this one? He says, it's huge, but it's up to us to set the tone. They read the game brilliantly against QPR. They saw what we were trying to do. With a bit of luck, a couple of saves, a little bit less anxiety in the final third, we'd have won comfortably. Hopefully confidence from Sunday rolls into Wednesday, and I don't see an unconnected football club, not at all. They're giving us absolutely every opportunity. 9 games before the new year, huge period. We've got to battle through it, pick up points, and change the direction of our season. Yes! That is what we need to do, Christopher. The derby takes care of itself, but how have you reset since it? He says, we're straight back to it. I said to the boys, have a beer, enjoy your weekend, back to work tomorrow. And we were at it. Substitutes ran after the game. Monday was recovery for the starters, work for the non-starters. Just as much detail's gone into Pompey as went into the derby game. Have you seen a difference in Tom Cannon since he scored? He says, yeah, it always helps. The boys want him to do well. He'll get opportunities. He's trained really well for weeks. I thought he was decent at Coventry. He worked hard in and out of possession. We've got a lot of belief in him. On the academy then, how important is it that the culture, especially for the lads not from Sheffield, which he briefly touched on it before, he says, the academy is hugely important to me and the football club, financially and for producing first team players. We've sold a lot, we've brought a lot through, we dominate the city in that area as well. And it hits you when you arrive. That's what the academy is about. He says, I drove in at 7:20 this morning. Coaches were already out on the field working with the young players. That's what the club is. There was a close-up of the pre-match huddle with Siddy leading it. Is that something you've encouraged? He says, a bit, but that's him. Anyone who's worked with him knows he's a winner, he's a leader. It was a tough start, tough for him at the start, stuck in the middle on his own, abandoned. People had opinions on him. He made a big mistake against Derby. He could have gone under, but he didn't. He came back. I thought he was good at Coventry, good against QPR. He's had young players around him, not Vinny, not Tom Davies. He's had to take the lead with some of those. The England under-21s are picking him ahead of some Premier League players. That shows what they think of him as well. Tough times don't last. Tough people do. And he is tough. Love that. Is it great to have Gus back? And what position is he in to come in terms of, is he going to be, could you start him? He says, yeah, he's okay. If we wanted to start him in the next 2, we could. He came on Sunday. We didn't really need to bring him on, to be honest, but it gives us balance and energy, a massive part of what we're trying to achieve as a football club. And then they went on to 2, because a couple of those were Danny Hall, so sorry that I couldn't quite twig when it were Danny that it switched over to. But the next 2 were the last 2 questions, and they were from, I think they were from students, but they were certainly from unfamiliar reporters. And maybe you can tell by the question, but this is what we're talking about at the start. He gave predictable but good answers, because how do you answer this really? Given the start to the season, do you think promotion is still possible? It's certainly a worthwhile question asking, but you know what answer you're going to get, I think. You can't look too far ahead in this league, he says. Next game is the most important. Standard line. String a run together, you go up the league. String another, you go higher. We're improving. If we don't win, we recover and go again. People will always speculate, losing you're going down, winning you're going up. We just stay calm and deal with the next opponent. And the last question was, how have you seen that Bamford and Ings, how do Bamford and Ings coming in raise the levels of the squad? He says just through their careers, their experience, the personality and the character. I didn't know Danny that well, but I've been hugely impressed by him since I've come in. Professional, humble, interacts with everyone. Pat's the same. They want to help the younger lads, not just score goals. They want to help them as well. Their experience is massive for us moving forward. And that, ladies and gents, completes the Chris Wilder press conference, which I thought was very good. Always straight down the line. It's a bit of a straight back usually, unless there's a topic he really doesn't want to discuss. Nobody's really asked him recently about Ben Godfrey. I think that information would come out if it was if there was any change to that tone. Nobody asked him about Tom Davies timescales. So it's I would assume, and it's purely an assumption, that he will be out, again for this, certainly for this quick turnaround of games. It's a huge shame, and it's a huge outlay for the football club in terms of minutes to availability and cost per minute. I know Lee Baldwin brilliantly is keeping a running total of that. So yeah, it's not to be crude, but just to be, because I think it's an unbelievable stat how much we are paying him per minute on the pitch, and it's just unfortunate, and it's a cold hard business reality as to what his unavailability, and it's so sad for the boy. Anyway, let's jump into what you guys are saying. I personally thought that were really positive, if not slightly predictable press conference from Wilder. We didn't get too much information, but it's such a short, crammed week. You're not going to always get blockbuster news coming out of these presses, are you? You're not going to get like, oh, well, I'm telling you now that Gus is starting. I'm telling you that Pat Bamford's starting. Why would he? Why would he show his cards like that? It's interesting to see what he thinks. It's interesting that Gus could potentially start if we wanted him to. Is that the truth, or is that a Wilderism? It's clear that he loves Patrick Bamford. To me, I think there's a strong chance that Bamford certainly plays more minutes than he did against Wednesday. Whether he starts or not, I think is possibly a reasonable question to ask. Do you think that McCallum drops out for a natural replacement in Harrison Burrows just as a rotation? Who's to say? Because it's such tight games in such tight turnarounds. But we'll see. Josh starts us off today saying, big question for the next part of the season is Gus. Where does he fit in? Personally, I really hope we don't go back to the system with him on the left and one up top. I can see that happening, Josh, if I'm honest. I can also see a world where he puts Callum O'Hare on the right and Gus on the left in a 4-4-2. I think there's a definite possibility he goes back to one up top. Bamford played one up top for Leeds and did well. It's a very difficult position to play, but we have started to turn a corner with two strikers up top, and it's something a lot of us have called for a long time. So surely you can't sacrifice the team's success for one individual, and there's always a place for Gus Hamer, but we'll have to work out where is best to accommodate him in the team that we want to play. So I've made peace with the fact that we're never going to get a formation that plays every player in their exact ideal spot. And I don't think you ever can really with Callum O'Hare and Gus Hamer in the same team. But as long as we're comfortable with the job that they do in that position, then it's acceptable for now, because I still think the squad is ridiculously unbalanced. And I think we need to decide on a formation, stick with it, and a pattern of play. I think January has to be built around that a little bit, and we'll see. I think we'll look a very different side coming out of January than we do going into it. Batman says, liking the new thumbnails, mate. Thank you, pal. A good focused press of that. Wilder echoing my feelings that with Gus, Blaster, Chong coming back, along with other new members of the group, we look a different proposition. Fancies again tomorrow night. I'm en route for my tour to the north now with the main event tomorrow night. Love that. Come on, you red and white wizards, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. So Lewis is coming back. He's coming up from Bristol for the Pompey game. Obviously doing other bits and bats while he's up this way. If we beat Portsmouth at home, it will be, and Lewis will be attending this, as will Jack, Statman Jack, who's coming up from Luton. The first after party live at the Hilton Hotel. After the game, we'll be going live with the Ramble. We'll be streaming directly from the Hilton Hotel for the after party, the first ever after party, which will probably replace 90 after 90 this week. It won't always, but because it's a 3-game week, we'll be doing a 90 after 90 after Leicester anyway. So if we don't win, we'll be doing a traditional 90 after 90, and I'll be nice and quiet at home and probably very annoyed. But there you go. Let's just keep everybody in the loop. Where does Gus fit into this squad? Says Positive Jack. Also, do we change the formation back to suit him and O'Hare back in the 10, or do we play both O'Hare and Gus on the wings? Can they both be given a free roam role? When Wilder names off the players we have, it just shows you with some of the players we have, we shouldn't be in this position. I think that's fair as well. I think he would probably agree. I think he would take collective blame, kind of nudge it more towards the players, but I think he would also say that, you know, he's slightly underperformed as well in his time back because he underestimated the job. But we are now steering in the right direction, and it feels like everybody's back on a similar page. So I'm confident in terms of the morale and the way that the club is turning. In terms of, do we switch the formation? It's one to wait and see, isn't it? Because who can predict what Chrissy Wilder's thinking at the minute? I think I'd be surprised if it moves away from the successful 4-4-2 at the moment, but they're going to have to fit into Gus and Cal, for example, are going to have to fit into that, aren't they? Looking forward to this. Go on, Gaffer. Glow, rub their donuts in it, says Dave Morwood. I'm out, so we'll catch up later. Up all the rambles, up the blades, up the 5. Up the positive 5, like and subscribe. I also want to shout out Nick Cook. Thank you very much for your generous super chat that you sent yesterday, I think it was. I spotted that today, so thank you, my mate. Really appreciate it. Ontario Blade says, congrats, Jimmy, to you and all your star crew on the silver medal. Thank you, mate. By the way, what's happened to the usernames? I think this is I meant to ask Cal yesterday. We were on stream with Callum Fowler for Yorkshire's Finest on Ramble FC. There you go. Always a cheeky plug where we can. But I've noticed on other content creators' channels, I think it happens on Connor's as well. It might be a YouTube update. I don't know if I can change that back, or I'm certainly not aware of how to at the minute, but it doesn't come up with the name that you've given yourself, does it? It comes up with your username, if you like. So I'm not sure, really, Ontario Blade. I'll have to look into that a little bit more. Jez says, in my opinion, it'd be a mistake to try and accommodate Callum O'Hare and Hamer into a winning team. It's O'Hare's shirt to lose, so keep a formation that has worked and force Hamer to earn his place in the side. I'm with you there. And it sounds like he's your best player. Why would you leave your best player out? Because we're winning without him at the moment. And to bring him onto the pitch, even on 60 minutes or 65 minutes, it should really enhance what you're doing. So I'm with Jez on this. I'm also in a similar vein with Big Pat. I really liked what I saw from Patrick Bamford on Sunday, but I wouldn't start him. I'd be starting Campbell and Ings, and I'd be bringing Pat Bamford on for Tyrese Campbell, because then you're keeping that strong man at the top of the pitch throughout the game and fairly fresh if you're bringing Bamford on at like 60 minutes or so. So I'm with you, Jez. I'm of the same opinion, pal. Tim says, another good presser from our exalted leader. Sounds like he means business. Up the award-winning Ramble. Up the Blaze. Thank you, my mate. Ontario Blade says, a positive presser from CW. No, good to know that Gus is available to start. With 3 games this week, Wilder has to be smart with the subs from a loaded bench. Yeah, I agree with that. Mark Melju says, positive presser from Chris. Knows the importance of tomorrow now and fancy us to be buoyant after Sunday. Reckon 2-3 changes to freshen it up, with Leicester being at 12:30 p.m. Still smiling after Sunday. Spent too much time with Brett. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, up the positive Meldrew, up the 5PB. Let's have a look. Joe says, best bit about celebrations is Wendy's would have celebrated far more but they would have been alright because they're having a tough time. That'd have been alright because they're having a tough time of it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we are. Season's been a disaster. Up the blades, up the ramble, like and subscribe. Joe also says, as long as we play every match with the same attitude and desire as Sunday, we'll be a really competitive side for the rest of the season. And that's a fact. That's a fact. We need to kick on now. Jim, up the blades, up the ramble, like and subscribe, up all the rambles. Bisto Brett says, I think Wilder will keep the core of the team for Pompey and get some momentum. Bamford looks good. Pigs' game was easy. Shut down Bannon and they had no plan B. Turned a corner now. To the Prem we go. Not like jinxing it, is there, Brett? Not like jinxing it, but Brett is one of the founding members of the Positive Blades. So what do you think there? Tim says, Jim, do you think there'll be any hangover from Sunday against Portsmouth? The players, not the Ramblers. I think there will be a Ramblers hangover. But in terms of the... No, I don't, Tim. I don't. I think it'll... If we can't use this momentum as a springboard into a brilliant... Another strong performance at home against a Pompey team that before the season we would have been expecting to beat at home, then I think, yeah, I think we have to win this game. I'm not saying it's a must-win game in terms of the course of the season, but I think in terms of our trajectory, it's a must-win. If we beat these and we go into Leicester with 2 wins on the spin, I'd take 4 points now from the next 2 games, but imagine getting 6 out of the next 2. And what that could do, not only for the table, but the confidence and what this season could then become. It's huge, Tim, and I think the players will be on board with it, if I'm honest. Jimmy on the Bamford cameo appearance says, Michael Brown, nice one. Reply to my message, please. Jimmy on the Bamford cameo appearance, what was your take on his performance? And do you think going forward he will be a useful asset to the Blades, or will he just be a short-term contract gone in January? I think... I will be amazed if he's not extended till at least the end of the season, just because of the noises that are coming out from both parties. I think Bamford clearly has fit in quite quickly here. He's been on press duties already, looks very comfortable. You can tell that there's a great relationship between him and Wilder. It's not forced. It's like a mutual respect for what they've both done through their careers. I think Bamford gained Wilder's respect for calling him after that chant incident. So yeah, I think it's a little bit like the Wilder-McBurney relationship, isn't it? If Wilder had still been the manager, McBurney would still be at the football club. I've no doubt about that. And I think Bamford will stay till the end of the season. As for how did I think his performance was, I rated it, to be honest. I'm not going to get completely carried away. Like, I try not to do that both ways. If somebody has a great game, I try not to get carried away, and I sometimes do. And if somebody has a poor game, I try not to slate him completely, and I sometimes do. But I thought he played well. I don't think there were enough of a time period to judge a full performance and say, wow, he was amazing, because he wasn't. And we could look back at the game and try and make ourselves think that and look through rose-tinted glasses. But I thought everything he did quite well, or very well, very well. That ball through to Tom Cannon is one that I remember, but he also held the ball up well. Things seemed to stick with him, which is what we need at the top end of the pitch when you're trying to stretch the play. I think he's going to be a really shrewd signing for us, Michael. It's never been about Bamford's ability. It's always been about his availability. So if we get a fit Patrick Bamford, huge asset for Sheffield United. That's a big if. And a lot of Leeds fans will tell you the same as well, I think. Jimmy, there is strong speculation that Leicester City are likely to get a points deduction, 6 to 9 points. Is being mentioned. The EFL is certainly not going to let Leicester City off. I think that's been ongoing for a while, isn't it? I'd expect that to happen. If I'm honest, I don't know how many points they'll get. Bald and brilliant. That's Ali. Says, after listening to the presser, I think I may have to join Bisto, Brett, Batman Lewis, and the rest of the Positive Blades. You cannot help be boosted by a CW press conference. Love it. Up the Ramble. Bald and brilliant. That's Ali. Nice one, mate. He'll be back on football therapy on Thursday. He might need some therapy if we don't get the winner against Portsmouth, so we'll see. Excited about the future now. Chris has got them believing, says Ray. Sayers Ball knocked the stuffing out of the club. Chris has brought it back. Up the Ramble, up all the Rambles. Like and subscribe. Brownie says, I think an outside chance of making the playoff places for the Blades if they can build on the victory over the Owls. Only Coventry City are showing consistent form in this division at the moment. Way, way, way too early, Michael. I understand, and this is a little bit what Wilder were talking about. When we get a positive result, it sort of shifts all your focus to positive thoughts, doesn't it? And I want to be in that mindset as well. But we're 22nd in the division. We're something like, I don't know how many points we are off the playoffs. There's so much traffic in front of us. If we can put 3 wins together in a row, I don't necessarily just mean win the next 2, so that's your 3, which would obviously be ideal. But if we can put 3 wins together at any point, I think we will start becoming positive again. Before January, say, I think we'll start being positive again about what this season could become. It's been an absolute write-off to this point. We've given teams a 15-game head start. And now, hopefully, it's not a false dawn and we're finally getting to see ourselves get moving again. But time will tell. Morgan says, love Wilder. I have a feeling he's going to get us going. Met him a few weeks ago and half joked, send me Tom Davies and I'll keep him fit. Let's hope he watches this. Afternoon, Chris. I know he's been busy this afternoon, but yeah. He knows all about the Ramble. Don't you worry about that. Yeah, he gives you confidence. We're all on the positive train. Yes, says Raymondo. David Vinter. Must keep the 2 up top, in my opinion. Look a bigger threat in that system. Bring on Pompey, then Leicester. Up the Blades, up all the Rambles. Thank you, my mate. Hope you're doing well. Michael says, at this point last season, the championship winners, Leeds United, were on 29 points. Coventry are 8 points ahead of that total. Coventry are going great guns. Absolutely great guns. Jimmy, at this point, it looks like Wolves, Burnley and Leeds are going to be relegated, so it's important that the Blades make and win the playoffs to avoid those teams next season, which I think they can. Any 3 teams that come down from the Premier League are going to be really strong. So it don't matter if it's what... I think the chance... I agree. I think it's most likely at the moment that those will be the 3. But if it was, anybody else, West Ham or whoever... I think that's probably the most favourable 3 for us that could come down. So, again, it's way too far off to think about, isn't it? Congrats on your award, says Mugger. The content is far superior to anything Blades related. I've got real talent for this, Jim. Good work, mate. Thank you, Mugger. That's a very kind thing to say. Just a lad talking rubbish about Sheffield United, isn't it? Really, like we all want to do. Jack says, O'Hare and Campbell linked up really well. Excuse me, for the goals. Campbell making the runs around to create the space and shoot. Keep it up, lads. Yeah, absolutely right. We've talked in 3 Mardy Blades before. In fact, that's another accidental plug for tonight. We'll be back, just basking in the final bits of glory of the Steel City Derby win. Back tonight at 8 o'clock. We've had to push it back and move things around a little bit, so we're back at 8 o'clock. See you live tonight for that. But myself, Man Mountain and Dave the Nose have talked about Campbell's arcing runs previously, and he did that again superbly, didn't he? A couple of times yesterday, Sunday, sorry. But obviously, one of them resulting in the opening goal. So yeah, it has been a bit of a pattern to the play when those 2 are together on the pitch. O'Hare and Campbell, love it. Big T, we roll into tomorrow's game. If we get a win and get something Saturday, I'm not saying playoffs, but never say never. Up the Blades. You are saying playoffs, Big T. I know exactly what you're saying. If nobody has seen this Ramble on the Road from Man Mountain and Big T, I would strongly recommend it, personally. Don't know if it was because it was a derby, says Jack, but we looked energetic and the press looked really good. Really liking the look of Pat and Ings. I agree that Gus needs to earn his place back, but imagine firing Pat, linking up with O'Hare and Campbell. Smells like playoffs. Oh, Lee says he sent me the updated Tom Davies figures through on WhatsApp. Are we ready for this? As Jess Glynn says, you're ready for this? There's no denying. So this is what Tom Davies has cost us as a club. And this is not a dig. This is just reality in terms of Tom. Let's not get this mistaken. Nobody's saying Tom Davies is a bad player. What we're talking about is the business investment in Tom Davies. He signed on the 16th of August, 2023. Thank you for this, Lee. Working on the, I think, quite modest assumption that he's on 30 grand a week. I have no reason to believe he's on any less than that. He's been on the books 832 days. So that's £4,285 and 71 pence per day. That's £3,565,710 and 72 pence earned as of today as a basic wage. £118,857 and 2 pence per game for United. £3,263, 31 pence per minute on the pitch. And that is the cold, hard reality of it. Thank you again to the bald and brilliant Lee are those stats? Not a great read, but very interesting all the same. Michael says, Jimmy, do you think the Owls can avoid the drop from what you see? No. I must admit they looked a poor outfit on Sunday, and given they still have transfer embargo throughout 2026, are they subject to further points deductions? I believe so. Even if they're not, if they don't get any more points deducted, there is absolutely no chance, certainly on that performance, that they get anywhere near survival. No chance they are. If they are getting bought, it needs to be as a League One club, even if it's tomorrow, because there is no chance they get out of this trouble. No chance. If you factor in, I think we did this with Wednesday Till I Die, boys. If you factor in that 50 points is the benchmark for safety in the Championship, which is, give or take 6 points, is usually about right, at 3 points either side, they have to average something like 2 points a game now. They have to average promotion form to get top 2 automatic form to get out of it. There's absolutely zero chance that they get anywhere near it. They'll be let off with the embargo, says Jack. Extend Gyro, says, he also says, I agree with that. I think Gyro and Pat will both get a deal to the end of the season, but it may depend on what we can move out. I think we probably will. We tend to cut our losses on players sometimes rather than keep players that we don't want. I think that's probably what we'll do. He also says, I thought everyone played well, but was a shocking piggy team. We need to continue this now. Could Chris get the owners believing again? Chris's focus will solely be on the pitch, and so it should be. Michael says, I'm surprised that Wilder and Bamford are pally-pally given the abuse they've both said about each other over the years. I'm not surprised at all, to be honest. Bamford should have scored on Sunday. It's the sort of miss why Leeds United support base have been frustrated with him over the years. He gets himself in good goal-scoring positions, but let himself down. Do you know what, Michael? I'm disagreeing with you a little bit today, and I don't often. When it was live and I was doing the watch-along with my dad, I thought it was a daft thing to do, to go for the back heel into when it came into him. If you look at the replay, I was mistaken, I think now, on reflection. I think it's the most obvious thing for him to do in terms of getting a shot on target. It was on target. The only reason the keeper saves it is because he's out to him so quickly and he lands on the ball. It's not really a save per se. It's not an intended save. He just lands on the ball because he's lucky. He's too close to Bamford, really. So I thought Bamford did what he could with that chance. It made it look a little bit more flash than it probably was. But I just think it was decent technique to get a shot in on goal. And it's a shot on target from Pat Bamford. So I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it after watching it back. Our Blaster has shown on the ITV cameras on Sunday. How close is it to a full return? Well, not ridiculously close, I wouldn't say. Just from what Wilder was saying in his presser today, he needs minutes and he'll likely be drip-fed back into the first team picture. Bamford was on a fair amount at Leeds, one of their highest earners. Is he close to that figure at the Blades? Don't know, to be honest. Don't know. It wouldn't surprise me at all, either way, if he was on a fairly modest wage till January and then they renegotiate. My suspicions are that he's on a good wage just up until January. So that's a no-lose for anybody then, isn't it? So if he isn't a success, then everybody can cut their losses and he's taken a couple of months' worth of pay on a decent whack. That's what I would say. So if he's going to stay, he'll probably be a decent wage and it will probably mean a couple of players going out, either on loan or a sale of somebody. I think so. Saw a video of Raksaki earlier today showing his time as a loan player with us. Didn't know he could smile. Went straight to Connor's stream and thanked him for Bamford. Paul says, I've said it a few times now, Davies is costing United a fortune. He's just too injury prone. If he stubs his toe, he'll be out for a month. How much would that cost United? Up the Blades, up the Ramble. And Lee just finishes off tonight by saying, or this afternoon should I say, just want to add that even though the facts about Tom Davies' investment by us are not great, I like the player a lot. And when fit, his quality shows. I agree with that. Dave the Nose is a huge fan of Tom Davies. But he's just not available, is he? It's just a real shame his body's letting him down. I agree, Lee. I agree. Bald and brilliant, as usual. So, yes, thank you to everybody for joining us. The next time you see me will actually be tonight, if you're coming back for this, at 8 o'clock. 3 Mardy Blades, myself, the Man Mountain, who can talk us through the post-match celebrations as he was there in person, which you may have seen on Ramble on the Road. Dave the Nose as well. He's joining us. The boys are back together. And then I'm hoping that tomorrow night after the game we get our first after party. We'll have to wait and see. That will require a Sheffield United victory. So thank you to everyone that's joined me in the comments. Another good presser from Chrissy Wilder. In Wilder we trust, don't we? So come on, you red and white wizards. Of the Blades!